I never thought the one I loved would choose another, until his engagement shattered my heart. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was a sun-drenched afternoon, the kind that carries a warmth that seeps deep into your bones. I stood in the coffee shop, my favorite place with its rustic charm, the scent of roasted beans filling the air. My hands trembled around the cold glass of my iced latte, the chill contrasting the heat surging inside me. I had been daydreaming about him. Again. Each passing moment, I thought it would bring us closer. But that day a shiver of dread stirred from my gut. Suddenly, the door swung open, and there he was, Jake. My heart leaped, palpitating anxiously, ready to burst out of my chest. He was the sun in my world, all warm smiles and bright laughter. But then I saw her. Standing beside him, wrapped in a cloud of ivory lace and shimmering hope. Jessica. The girl with bright blue eyes and an infectious giggle, always the center of attention. I felt my blood run cold as my breath hitched in my throat. My heartbeat hammered in my ears. They looked perfect together, like a scene straight out of a fairy tale. He looked at her with such intensity, a love that blinded me. I shrunk back, my chest tightening as reality crashed down on me like a tidal wave. Panic gripped me. I wanted to shout, to pull him away from her. I wanted him to see me. To realize I was the one who loved him fiercely. I could hear whispers in the cafe, eyes darting between us. Everyone knew our story. Everyone believed we were destined. Or at least, I believed so. Broken murmurs filled my head, a mixture of pity and intrigue. I wanted to melt into the shadows, but my feet felt glued to the ground, riveted by an unseen force. Suddenly, Jake reached for something. A small box. My breath caught. It glimmered, and I could see the way his fingers danced over it, like it was the most precious thing in the world. Jessica's face lit up more than the afternoon sun as he dropped to one knee. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his voice clear and unwavering. Time stopped. The world around me faded. The laughter, the chatter, the clinking of cups, they all fell silent, drowning beneath the roar of my heart shattering. I wanted to scream, to beg him not to do this. Tears streamed down my cheeks, burning paths of salt on my skin. It felt unreal, like a cruel joke orchestrated by the universe. His love, I thought it was mine. The gasps around me zipped through the air like arrows. I could barely grasp the laughter erupting around me, the clapping that followed. It felt like they were all in on this secret I wasn't meant to know. I staggered back, clutching the table, my mind a chaotic whirl of pain and disbelief. How could he choose her? How could he do this to me? As I turned to leave, my heart heavy with anguish, I caught a glimpse of his eyes searching for me. I saw confusion, maybe even regret, and then his gaze returned to Jessica, who leaned in for a kiss filled with promises. My insides twisted painfully. Was this really happening? I stumbled out of the cafe, the cool air striking my flushed skin like a slapping hand. I could still hear the echoes of their laughter, piercing through the fog. It hurt. It hurt more than anything had before. I didn't know where to go, nor what to do with the bitter truth inside me. My world spiraled, darkness creeping in at the edges, but as I walked away, a thought struck like lightning in a storm. What if this wasn't the end? What if there was something more? I couldn't shake it. The questions ignited a flicker of determination in my soul despite the crushing weight of loss. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As days turned into a blur, reality settled into a strange whirlpool of numbness. Each sunrise felt like a taunt, a reminder that life continued to unfold, oblivious to the ache lodged in my chest. I caught glimpses of their happiness in snippet social media posts, shared photos marinated in laughter, and updates from friends who hadn't a clue of the storm brewing within me. Each notification sliced through my facade, threatening to reveal the raw wound beneath my skin. I found myself at work, sitting behind the front desk of a local art gallery, trying to immerse myself in vibrant canvases, but all I saw were shadows of a joy that escaped me. The walls echoed stories of color and creation, but my heart remained monochrome, painted with the shades of sorrow. My co-workers chatted enthusiastically about upcoming exhibitions, and I forced a smile, trying to be present while the world faded around me. One evening, as I was closing up, an unexpected presence disrupted my solitude. A girl named Mia, new to the gallery and blissfully unaware of my heartache, wandered over with a box of leftover pastries from a nearby bakery. Her eyes sparkled with an excitement that was light years away from my dulled spirit. "I figured we could do with a little sugar and caffeine after a long day," she announced, setting it down beside me with a grin. Her kindness ignited a small flicker of warmth within, lifting the thick layer of melancholy just enough to let the light in. We shared stories over the rich sweetness of chocolate croissants, and for a moment, the laughter flowed free of the weight that had held me captive for weeks. It felt strange to smile, like using a muscle ID long since abandoned, but Mia's genuine joy coaxed me back to life, even if only for a heartbeat. But soon, I could feel the familiar tide of tears brimming just beneath the surface as I recalled that fateful day, and I excused myself, retreating to the solitude of my apartment. The walls were closing in, and before I knew it, I was curled up on the floor, tears trickling down my face as I grasped my phone. I didn't want to face the truth, but I needed clarity. Would it hurt less if I knew more? With trembling fingers, I scrolled through the endless images of Jake and Jessica, each one like a dagger to my heart. I caught a lovely candid shot of them, his laughter exploding into the air, her smile radiant beside him. That night, sleep eluded me. I tossed and turned, haunted by memories that wouldn't let go. My dreams morphed into a treacherous landscape, where I watched Jake slip further away with every step I tried to take toward him. He was leaving, always leaving, and I was only a ghost haunting the edges of their joy.at dawn. I woke up with a heavy sense of resolve. I couldn't let this heartbreak be the end. I had to rediscover who I was, away from the shadow of what could have been. I put together a small collection of my paintings, pieces I had hidden away, untouched since the day I had realized David wouldn't be the one to see them. Today felt like a day needed for rebirth. I had to channel this pain into something that could create, rather than destroy. I signed up for a local art show, wanting to showcase my work, a heartbeat, a testament to the life I could still lead. Each brushstroke felt cathartic, allowing me to pour my loss, my dreams, and my hidden hopes onto the canvas. It was just me, stripped of the reality I had clung to so desperately, battling against the wave of emotion I thought would drown me. As the date of the exhibition approached, I felt the spark of excitement rise like a phoenix. The day finally arrived, and with chestnut curls swept into a messy bun, I adorned myself with paint-splattered overalls and an open heart. Stepping into the gallery, my fingers trembled as friends and patrons admired my work. It was exhilarating and terrifying, but as the night unfolded, I found moments of joy blooming amidst the chaos, and then it happened. In the midst of an animated conversation about the meaning behind one of my pieces, a voice came from behind me. That sent a shockwave through my entire being. "Wow, this is incredible." I turned to find Jake, standing just a few feet away, his eyes scanning the vibrant colors that mirrored the tumult inside me. He stepped closer, a mixture of admiration and uncertainty etched on his face. "I had no idea you were going to be here." I wanted to see your work." In that fleeting instant, time suspended. I could feel the warmth radiating from him, but beneath the surface, a chill swept through me. Would he sweep me back into the emotions I had fought so hard to regain control over, or was this merely a glimpse of grander things we couldn't ever grasp again? My heart raced with a surge of adrenaline, uncertainty wrapping around me like a noose. Just as I opened my mouth to speak, to reclaim my voice, I noticed Jessica standing across the room, her blue eyes narrowing in my direction, flashing with an inexplicable fury. I could feel the walls crumbling around me, the delicate balance of hope and despair crashing together with startling force. What was about to unfold in this moment? I took a breath, ready to step into the chaos, but the tempest was only just beginning, and the stakes had never felt higher. The tension in the air was palpable, the scene frozen as I stood caught between two worlds, Jake's hopeful gaze and Jessica's stormy presence. My heart raced wildly, the flutter of emotions clawing at my insides. The colors of my paintings, blooming bright around me, seemed to pale under the weight of the moment. I forced myself to breathe, feeling a need to regain control over the chaos that swirled in my mind. "Hey, it's been a while," Jake finally managed to say, a tentative smile creeping onto his lips, but his eyes betrayed a deeper current, one I feared to explore. The past threatened to resurface, memories threatening to reclaim me. I opened my mouth, ready to let out a flood of words, a mix of confusion and longing that had been bottled up within me. But the moment was cut short as Jessica approached, her silhouette casting a shadow over our interaction. The sharpness in her stride sent ripples of trepidation through my body, and suddenly, the warmth I felt only moments ago slipped through my fingers like sand. "Jake." Her voice sliced through the crowd like a razor. It was tinged with a forced brightness, and yet I caught the undertones of bitterness. "There you are. I was looking for you. You promised to help me with the presentation, remember?" She wrapped her arm around his, an anchor to pull him back into her world. I stood frozen in place, the colors of my exhibition fading into blurred backgrounds as I watched them together. The juxtaposition of Jake's presence at my show and the heaviness radiating from Jessica felt like a cruel twist of fate. They appeared like a well-rehearsed act, a script I wasn't supposed to disrupt. "Just a minute," he replied, still gazing at me. The moment felt like a suspended breath, the weight of unspoken words causing a lump to form in my throat. I could see the fleeting connection glimmering in his eyes, that same spark we had shared long ago. But reality crashed over me like cold water. This was not our story anymore. Mia drifted closer, her perceptive eyes noting the shift, and she nudged me gently. "Do you want me to get you a drink? Maybe some air?" I shook my head, feeling the urgency to face what was unraveling before me. "I need to talk to him," I whispered, more to myself than to her. The conviction echoed in my mind, a silent plea for clarity. Before I could muster the courage, Jessica tightened her grip on Jake's arm, pulling him away, drawing him back into their world of filtered happiness while I remained tethered to shadows and heartache. "Let's go," she chirped, her smile plastered on her face, but her eyes darted daggers my way. I blinked, feeling the heat rising in my chest. Fury and sadness entwined meant a concoction that threatened to drown me. What right did she have to sway his attention? Less than an hour before, I had felt liberated, emboldened to share my truth through art. Now I felt as if I was drowning in a tempest of unresolved emotions. For an entire breathless minute, Jake glanced between us, uncertainty marring his features. "You'll be right there," he said quietly to Jessica before turning back to me. "Can we talk? Just for a moment?" Hope surged within me, a fragile bud pushing through concrete, but right on its heels was the fear of rejection. I hesitated, caught like a deer in headlights, lost in the forest of disbelief as Jessica's presence loomed over us like a dark cloud. I sought refuge in Jake's gaze, wanting desperately for him to pull me back into the light. Before I could respond, Jessica interjected with a forced laugh, her voice warm yet drenched in ice. "I know you two have a lot to catch up on, but there's a lot to do. Aren't we supposed to be a team?" I felt my heart sink as the facade cracked, a small burst of clarity emerging. It was more than just competition, it was a reminder of the life we once held, and the one being constructed before my very eyes. "Why did you come?" I finally managed to ask Jake, my own voice shaky and vulnerable. The question escaped before I could catch it, raw and unscripted. It hung between us like a delicate thread. "I wanted to see how you were doing," he said slowly, the sincerity in his expression profoundly touching. Before I could comprehend my next move, Jessica interrupted again, visibly frustrated now. "Jake, we need to talk about your speech for the engagement party. You can't keep getting distracted." She pulled him further away, her eyes seething with both anger and a possessive jealousy that clamped my chest tighter. Desperation clawed at my throat as I stood by myself, drowning in my own tears beneath the bright lights, wishing for the past to return but knowing it never could. Just then, a voice broke my reverie. "Your work is beautiful," an elderly woman said, her warm gaze lingering on my painting. It felt like an anchor amidst the storm. "Thank you," I replied, swallowing my emotions as best I could. but when I turned back, Jake was gone, swept away into the whirlwind that was Jessica. My heart crashed again, echoing emptiness. I felt a hand on my shoulder, Mia's gentle presence grounding me. "You did great tonight," she said reassuringly. In that moment, I felt a haunting sting of reality. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket, vibrating with urgency. Reluctantly, I pulled it out, almost afraid of what I would find. Staring back at me was a message that knocked the air from my lungs. "Can we talk? I need to explain everything. Please, it's important." The sender's name glared back at me like a portent of doom. It was Jake. And as I stood there, once drunk on color and creativity, all I could feel was the residue of impending heartbreak swirling back into my life, a looming question that I dared not voice. Would I be ready to face the truth he held? Or would I once again become a footnote in someone else's story? The soft hum of conversations faded into a distant murmur as I stood frozen, the glow of my gallery fading like a dream I couldn't quite grasp. The bright colors of my paintings, once pulsing with vibrancy, now felt muted under a heavy shroud of despair. The world spun around me, and I was trapped in the web of a message that threatened to unravel the fragile strands of hope I had clung to all night. Mia's comforting presence remained steadfast beside me, her hand gently squeezing my shoulder. "What did he say?" she soothed, her voice filled with an understanding that made the heaviness in my heart feel a little lighter. "He wants to talk. He needs to explain," I uttered, my voice thick with uncertainty. Just reading his name on that screen ignited a storm within me, a mix of longing, anxiety, and fear. I didn't want to step back into the chaos that had defined our relationship, yet the need for closure burned brighter than the shadows lurking at the edges of my heart. "Then you should talk to him," she urged, her tone coaxing but firm. "You have every right to know what's going on." I nodded, the resolve momentarily flickering within me. But the gnawing doubt crept in as I replayed the last few moments I shared with him. Jessica's presence had loomed over us, taunting me with reminders of an unwelcome destiny. Did I truly want to step into that ring? I can't keep getting dragged into his life. "I deserve better," I whispered, though part of me still yearned for his words, for the secrets he held behind those soulful eyes. As I stood there, conflicted, a subtle pull urged me toward the gallery's exit. Perhaps I needed air, distance, clarity, but mostly to escape my mounting fears. I slipped away from Mia's side, navigating through clusters of people, each conversation a blur as I drifted toward the front door. As I stepped outside, the cool night air embraced me, shaking me from the haze that had enveloped my heart. The gentle rustling of leaves danced above me, and for a fleeting moment, nature offered consolation, soothing my frayed edges. I closed my eyes, taking deep breaths, promising myself strength, yet the moment of calm was short-lived. A figure emerged from the shadows, and as I turned to see who it was, my breath caught in my throat. Jake stood there, uncertainty etched on his face, a stark contrast to his usual charm. The street lights caught the glint in his eyes, amplifying the emotions that swirled within them. "I am glad I found you," he said, his voice uneven, voiced with both urgency and vulnerability. "Jake," I breathed, but my heart raced, words tangled in my throat, struggling to emerge. I felt drawn to him, a magnet pulling me closer even as every part of me urged caution. "I know it's been a long time," he began, running a hand through his tousled hair, recalling a memory of whispered confessions and clandestine dreams. "And I'm sorry for how everything changed so abruptly." "What do you mean?" The question slipped out, filled with a mix of pleading and disbelief. "I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted to," he faltered, the hesitation wrapping around us like an invisible barrier. The night stretched on, the silence crackling between us with unspoken words. My heart raced as I gauged his expression, all the emotions from our past looming larger than the present. "I saw you with her," I finally broke the tension, anger flaring as jealousy threatened to spill over. "Jake, I can't just overlook that. I didn't choose her." His voice was barely above a whisper, but the underlying fear in his eyes was palpable. "This whole thing, it's not what you think." Suddenly, the smile I had recalled from earlier fled his face, replaced by a grimace that felt eerily familiar. It dawned on me then, the weight of his confession shifting the air around us. "I need you to listen," he continued, a tremor in his voice. This engagement isn't an engagement? My voice sliced through him, a frenetic energy boiling within me. You're engaged? To Jessica? Please, he urged, stepping forward, desperation mixing with urgency. It's complicated. You don't know the whole story. My heart plummeted, a cascade of cold realization. I wanted to scream, to run, to hide from the storm gathering within my chest. And yet, there I stood, trembling, torn between the memory of the boy I had loved and the man before me, ensnared in a snare of unforeseen obligations. I can't do this. I could feel the fragile hope I'd held onto fracturing into a flurry of lost dreams. Turning away before tears could betray me, I fought for control. You let this happen, Jake. You're the one who made this choice. Don't walk away. He called out, his voice raw, but the urgency in it caught my breath. I can't bear to hear why you made that choice. What do you want from me? I spat back, the heat of my anger warring against the landscape of my heart. As I turned, my footsteps propelled me away, desperate to escape the mess of emotions swirling between us. But before I could vanish into the darkness, a new message lit up my phone. It was MIA, you need to come back, something's happening at the gallery. You won't believe it. My heart raced, straddling the line between fear and the need for assurance as the pulse of dread echoed deep within me. What now? My stomach churned. I had to go back to where it all began, yet the uncertainty of what awaited me loomed like dark clouds. Would the truth I was running from reveal itself again, or would I uncover something that shattered everything I thought I knew? Please, wait. Jake called behind me, but the choice had already been made. The path ahead felt more ominous than any conversation I'd just left behind. I would have to face whatever awaited, be it heartache, revelation, or the possibility of a new beginning, and in that moment, I realized, some engagements hold more than vows, they cling to the ties of love tangled in threads of destiny. The gallery loomed ahead, its white walls bathed in warm light, a cocoon of color against the encroaching night. Each step I took felt like a betrayal to the heart I had momentarily shielded in anger. I hesitated at the door, a tremor of apprehension coursing through me. In that instant, the weight of my tumultuous emotions battled within a yearning for answers intertwining with the dread of facing whatever lay within those walls. As I pushed the door open, the buzz of voices washed over me like an intoxicating wave. Mia stood beside a canvas, her eyes wide with anticipation, glimmering with a mix of concern and excitement. The moment our gazes connected, I felt a tether pull taut between my fraying heart and her unwavering resolve. There you are! She exclaimed, hurrying towards me, her hand reaching out to clasp mine. You won't believe what's happening. It's incredible. What is it? What's going on? My mind was still racing with the remnants of my encounter with Jake, his words a haunting echo, come. She dragged me deeper into the gallery, weaving between clusters of art enthusiasts. I could sense the pulse of excitement, yet my heart was entrenched in shadows, dread coiled tightly within my chest. We reached the back of the gallery, where a group had gathered around a large canvas, its surface cloaked by a velvet drape. The murmurs intensified, and I caught snippets of conversation, whispers of a new artist, a revelation that would change everything. Mia squeezed my hand again, her eyes glinting with purpose. They're about to reveal it. You need to see this. Just as a figure approached the canvas with hands poised to unveil, a wave of nausea hit me. My fingers tightened around Mia's, and I found myself battling the feelings of dread and anticipation. Yet the woman standing before the canvas was a stranger to me, and when the drape fell away, a collective gasp of awe erupted from the crowd. My breath hitched as I took in the astonishing artwork that now adorned the wall. It was a breathtaking mural of vivid colors intertwined, abstract forms merging into only a poignant representation of conflict and harmony. And at the center, there was a figure that took my breath away. It was a silhouette of two intertwined figures, a man and a woman, a reflection of love both sweet and painful, burdened yet steadfast. My heart raced as warmth flooded through me, and for a brief moment, I felt the chaotic turbulence of my emotions dissolve. The piece was familiar, achingly so, stirring dormant memories that rushed in like the tide. Isn't it stunning? Mia leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. The artist is a complete mystery. Nobody knows who they are. They just left this at the front earlier today, with a note that said it's about love in its many forms. In that moment, as the crowd admired the artwork, I felt a strange sense of connection, as if the artist had reached beyond the canvas and touched the very essence of my heartache and desire. Yet the thought was bittersweet: who had crafted this masterpiece, and why was it so intimately entwined with my own sorrow? I wish I knew who created it, I murmured, still anchored in the beauty before me. It feels so personal. Mia's brow furrowed in thought before her eyes gleamed with realization. What if it's someone you know? A chill climbed my spine as my gaze dropped to the floor, and the shadows of my past once again threatened to engulf me. The idea lingered, twisting the knife of uncertainty deeper into my chest. Could it be Jake? Had he, too, felt the way I did? Was he the one pouring our heartbreak into vibrant strokes of color? But before I could delve deeper into the thought, Mia tugged at my sleeve, pulling me back to the current moment. Look! The crowd is calling for the artist. Two figures emerged, stepping onto the small pedestal next to the mural. My jaw slackened as the crowd erupted into applause, and I squinted, attempting to make sense of who they were. The man was striding forward confidently, the woman beside him was beaming with warmth, yet it was the man's familiar gaze that sent a jolt through my body. Jake? The name spilled from my lips like a desperate wish, barely above a whisper. He smiled down at the crowd, his features softened in the glow of admiration. He looked breathtaking, radiating an energy that mingled with the awe surrounding him. What the hell? I blinked rapidly, struggling to comprehend the scenario unfolding before me. Mia's expression mirrored my shock, but before either of us could process the implications, Jake raised his hand, silencing the gathering with his simple strength. Thank you all for your kind words. This piece, it's a reflection of love's complexities, of joy and pain intertwined. It's something I've poured my heart into for the last few weeks. My heart raced as he continued, his voice steady though every word felt like a dagger against my resolve. I didn't know the outcome of our stories when I started. If only I had the courage to have this conversation sooner. With every word, the weight of his past decisions crushed down on me, but the haunting truth was yet to be revealed. The meaning of his creation danced tantalizingly close, yet remained elusive, each revelation only deepening the chasm between us. Just as the crowd erupted in applause again, I felt my phone buzz in my pocket, a message from an unknown number. The screen lit up, and my heart lurched as I recognized the unmistakable truth. I know what Jake did. Meet me. You need to hear this, and in that haunting moment, my world crumbled further, each revelation teetering on the edge of tumult, and I couldn't escape the feeling that the storm was only just beginning. The applause faded into the background as a deafening silence filled my mind. I stared at the message blinking on my phone, a feeling of dread crawling up my spine. The gallery around me, once a vibrant sphere of creativity and hope, transformed into a cacophony of chaos. Mia leaned closer, her eyes darting between my face and the unfolding scene before us. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I fumbled to respond, the words tangled in my throat. How could I explain that the very fabric of my heart was unraveling with each second spent in Jake's presence? Just need a moment, I stammered, and she nodded with a mixture of concern and understanding. I stepped away from the crowd, my heart racing in my chest. The edges of my vision blurred as I moved toward the edge of the gallery. I pressed my back against the cool wall, feeling the vibrations of life around me while I wrestled with the storm surging within. How could Jake stand there with such poise, articulating every nuance of pain and love, when I felt like I was drowning in despair? Glancing at my phone again, I weighed the decision of whether to respond, the responsibility of uncovering the truth heavy on my shoulders. I made my way outside, into the purpling twilight, hoping the cool air would soothe my frazzled nerves. With each breath, I imagined a reality where Jake and I could have this honest conversation, where we could shed the layers of misunderstanding that hung between us like a thick fog. But there was something else lingering, looming like an unseen specter, the possibility of betrayal implied in the message. Was I ready to dive into that darkness? I hope you're not drowning in thoughts too deep for a simple evening, a voice interrupted my reverie. I turned to find a stranger watching me with soft, understanding eyes. He was older, perhaps in his 40s, and wore an artist's scruff and paint-splattered clothes, but it was the kindness radiating from him that drew me in. Just processing, I admitted, the truth spilling from my lips without warning. I was caught off guard by something I didn't expect. It's overwhelming. He nodded, taking a moment to consider my words. Art is powerful that way. It births emotions we often don't know